Hello guys, welcome to another episode of Ripster Daily Trade Recaps and Teachings. Today is February 13th. So guys, another day was not there was not a lot of trades in the morning. It was kind of a choppy day. There were not not much to do. But anyways, we'll go through all that. We will go through everything. Just a quick introduction. Whoever is new to my community, these are the trade recaps and teachings from my community or anything I shared on Twitter, and we try to find what were our winners, what were our losers. We look at our repeatable setups that we play every day. We do not trade random. We have repeatable setups and repeatable system. We look at our winners, we look at our losers, and try to figure out what we can learn and how we can improve. Me and my team, we are up every day a few hours before the market open. We go through all the new sources that we provide in the community as a pre-market movers 1, pre-market movers 2, and bunch of analyst upgrades, downgrades, and the macro as well, right? So today was a CPI day, so we shared the CPI information in the community, and then we made a plan that how are we going to trade, and then we create our watch list and game plan, and we also create levels, the levels for the community. This was the watch list and game plan today. There was a few plays that we were watching, but most of them did not really give us any good setups when the day opened. But we were able to get some really good setups on car was good. ANET was okay, decent bounce on B minus. So we'll go through all these and see how they panned out. Then we also have the levels for the day. We will look at these levels, specifically the levels on SPY, how they helped us trade, trade those short market today. So lot to discuss, but I'm going to try to speed it up today. Little late video, so trying to get it out as soon as possible. And let's start. Right guys, I'm gonna spend some time today more on SPY and QQQ today. So how we traded SPY and QQQ successfully today, and what was our plan in the pre-market, and how were we taking this. So guys, the plan was today was simple. You have seen me talking about my VIX SPY strategy. If you watch my old videos, you can find out a lot of all information that I repeatedly talk about SPY VIX strategy that I have been using for years and years, and I have been teaching the traders all over the world my SPY VIX strategy. If you do not know, you can go to my website. You can read about this strategy and how so many traders have been using this strategy to trade successfully, and and your live examples of previous SPY and VIX trades. So you will learn a lot from there. The point in the SPY and VIX strategy is simple, that when the pivots on VIX break, when the pivots on VIX breaks, they tends to move into a certain direction, and SPY usually will do the inverse. So I will always use VIX pivots to trade SPY, bearish or bullish. And of course we use EMA Clouds for our trend and our analysis, for entries and exits and all those. And then we also have we also look at other macros today, right? We always have market indicators on our watch list. Today we were looking at US dollar yields. So all those are the indicators which when they start to go, if yield is higher, dollar is higher, stock market is going to fade. Although VIX did not come into play until middle of the day. And let's recap. That's what we were doing. So when the day started, we were gapping down. So we are bearish. In our community, we don't try to trade bearish longs. We don't do that. And then we had this pre-market lows as our first level to confirm the bearishness. And if you go back and see my levels that I gave this morning, SPY 493.50, 493.80, 496.40, and 493.80, this level. When this breaks, it did push down a little bit. It did push down to 49.20, and we were short. It was bearish. All day it was bearish. But when they swiped back right over this pre-market low, then there's a buyer there. Then there's a buyer there on SPY, and you have to get out. And that's the time when we were trading long. We will talk about our NVIDIA long or SMCI long. We were trading long, not necessarily we were trading. So this morning before the market opened, I told everybody that today's SPY and VIX strategy will come handy, right? So we were already ready, and that's why we had our levels on SPY and VIX in the pre-market. We had 1440s, 1475s, and we had a 15 resistance pivot and 1550s. So, and I already told everyone this morning that if we break 15, market will be heavy. And let's see what happens, right? So market breaks the pre-market lows, dips, holds that level, reclaims, and pushes, tries to become bullish, goes over 512 clouds, and tries to push toward 3450. And that's the time when VIX is dipping back to 1450s, right? Look at this time, 1210s, and look at this time, right? So this is the time, and I clearly said, watch the 1450 dip, right? 15 dip, that will impact. And look what happened. The VIX dipped from 1450, bounced, held that level, pushed, breaks out of the 15 pivot right here, and pushes, and that's when we break 512 and then we fade. This is the first signal for you to short, and then we break this level, and that's when 15 is breaking out, and then you short comfortably, confidently. When this is happening, you take the SPY puts, take the SPX puts, use your risk level upper candles or 512 EMA Clouds and short, and then you see the low of the day break, and that's where you short more. And we were short, I was short SPX puts. Some of them went 200-300%, and I was continuously talking about these levels, and you can see that my price alerts going in. There was a VIX price alerts. If you want to see here, let me show you. There was so there were continuously price alerts going in, SPY crossing low of day, SPY crossing key levels, SPY under 512 fades, still heavy, market still bearish. And all day I was on voice and all my commentary, just trying to guide people that we are bearish and we are not going to long anything. We are only going to short everything. And that was the strategy, and that was the plan from the pre-market, right? Yes, of course, we got a dip here and we stepped aside when this short was not working. But then this was the time to get back in when the short finally triggered the 15 breakout. And the 1450 bounce on VIX also gave us initial signal that something's going to happen, and then boom, right? And then this fade from 490, even if you missed that, even if you added 490, 452s to 490s, that was a huge fade. That was a 145% ATR traded on SPY today. 145% ATR. That's the day then when you make a lot of good profits on your SPYs and QQQs or SPXs. SPX was a sick mover, and all day the options were going 100, 200, 300% from 50 cents to $5. Some of them went from $1 to $10. And then there was this squeeze. And let's look at the other way. I told everybody that 18 level is coming, right? Let me show you my tweet. So 18 is a historical level. It's not the first time I'm talking about 18. Let me show you how important is a 18 VIX level, right? So let's look here. So 18, let's see. So you see 18 big level, and if you go back, not only today, if you go back to 2023, 2021, it's always the same strategy. 18 is a pivot. Based upon 18, we short or we long the market, right? And these are all the examples, guys. Live trades on these SPY and QQQ and SPX trades with VIX. So VIX is over 18, it's bearish, we short the SPY. VIX comes under 18, we long SPY. It's that simple. And I use the same level today, and I told everybody on the voice that once we hit 18, there's a chance of bounce. And when we hit 18, look at the rejection. Of course, it doesn't have to be the exact point, but look at the rejection close to that 18 area, and look at the bounce on SPY from that dip zone all the way to back to 3450 clouds. And that was, again, the lotos went from like 50 cents to $10, right? You could always use your long profit to trade some C minus, your short profit to trade some C minus long, B minus long lotos, right? And look at that move. and all by strategy, all well planned, not just fluke randomly. We know the VIX levels, we know the VIX is going to push over 15 and we are short, and SPY is breaking the low of the day, that's another short, and then we know we have to take profits at VIX at 18, and that's what people were doing. So people were doing the same in the community. They were taking the profits on that VIX 18 level. DIP did good, and many others did really good because you J-scalped 50% on that VIX 18, because it was a clear level of rejection right here on the top, and it's just a repeatable strategy, guys. That's how we traded SPY QQQ today. Really did good. And I tried to share that as well. Look at this put. It went from $4 to $26, right? Just because VIX is breaking up and SPY is breaking down. All day guidance, guys. This is the main which we made us really good today. SPY VIX strategy. Try to learn it. It's more impactful when VIX is higher over 16 and 18. Lower prices, it don't matter much, but it's highly profitable and highly consistent strategy. People, I really have changed a lot of lives with this strategy. Not many people used to use it before I made it little trending a few years back. But anyways, that was a great trades, great guidance. I'm proud of our SPY QQQ management today. We'll see how tomorrow goes. We will watch the levels again. I will post some VIX levels on Twitter as well in the morning, and then we'll go from there. All right, guys, let's go to the next one. Let's talk about our home run trade, guys. CAR was a big trade for us today. Why was CAR was on our watch list. The watch list I gave everybody, the game plan I gave in the pre-market. CAR was support was 162 and bearish buys to short the pops. I clearly explained to everybody in the pre-market. As soon as market opened, it flushed, and then I just chased the starter. You have to do a starter, because if it shows you lower high, then you add, and if it bounces, then you just get out on your starter. So that's what it was, and you can always add like 1/3, 1/4 position to see what it wants to do. But right away it was bearish. I told short everybody that's a short, and short was working, and short was working. And look at the daily chart. Daily chart was breaking huge resistance, huge supports, and I already told people that we can go to 132 when I saw this level. I told that in the morning only. I told that people that we can go to 132 because I can see this support here, and when this support breaks, we always go to the next support. So it's not a rocket science. That's why I tell people, look at your daily and weekly charts to find those levels of your profit targets. And then it was all just the guidance, right? We profitable shares, take the shares off, take profits, get some long other lotos, put lotos, just keep rolling. And it was beautiful trade. 140 puts were 100%. They went up as much as 1000%, and you can see my target was 140. I told people if that breaks, then 137, then 132 was the final target. I personally took all off. I added next week's. I took all off on this final bounce of 132, but when the market tanked, it even gave much further, and tomorrow it can go to 125. It keeps tanking. This is a big flush, guys. It's a big breakdown. You guys need to learn these daily breakdown setups, so how they work. So CAR was a huge win for community today. So really well done. Very proud of how a lot of traders executed CAR today, and really good. Yeah, Kylie did good there. A lot of other traders did good as well. Deborah did good. So yeah, let's go to the next one. All right, guys, next one we're going to talk about NVIDIA. I'm going to go quickly through all the plays today. Already late video. So anyways, guys, NVIDIA was not a trade in the morning. The real trade on NVIDIA came when we were breaking out of this 725 resistance. When market was bouncing, you saw the market bounce initially, right? And that's NVIDIA was strong. We always keep eye on the semiconductor sector and see what's doing. And when this started to go bullish, that's when I told everybody we can go NVIDIA long. And that's when it started to push. And then we had 725 breakout, and then we pushed over to 734. So a trade was from from 717 18s to all the way to 734. So $17 per share trade. Midday setup, guys. You can see there, you can't see like what I said on the voice, but you can see how everybody was trading, and a lot of people did good on NVIDIA on that midday move. That because I didn't really do much at the open, because my focus was high probability setups. You don't have to trade everything. Today was the day in the morning where you want to preserve and you wait for your best setups. So anyways, guys, NVIDIA was a great long. You can pause it and see my guidance and see how I did there. And 725 was the breakout pivot. All right, guys, let's look at SMCI. SMCI was also again was not in the open trade. Open trade was fine. SMCI was holding the pivot. I gave everybody the pivot was 750 support and 760 was upside resistance break. But the main breakout was right here on SMCI. And when that breakout happened, I said scalp the 781 break, and that went to all the way to 800. Good trade, midday trade. And then there was also a short scalp from 800 later in the day that came right back. So yeah, so SMCI, you can see the guidance. That was the guidance of the 781 breakout and midday long winner. Let's look at TRIP. So TRIP was loser for me. I added a starter on this breakout and I thought it's going to push, but when breakout started to fail, I knew it's going to pull back, so I just stopped out. And I didn't trade the pullbacks. I was trying to trade the breakout, and it did not work. And then I just left it for the day. Just a small loss there. You see, it went sideways anyways, so I don't know if it was worth it. This action I cannot trade sideways, so it was a loser today. Let's look at this shop. What shop was doing? I did not get the entry on the shop. Was the plan on the shop was simple. The plan was if it holds the 77.40, we can do the B minus bounce, and under the 77.40 it's a short. But as you see, it held that level and it pushed, and pushed over 512. I told people it can push to 84, and it almost got there, but there was 34.50 EMA resistance. Then it rejected 34.50 EMA, and then it was bearish right here. I told people it's bearish, and you could short scalp, short this. Remember, guys, when it's bearish, right? Even this is a B minus bounce and becomes a B, but it's never an A or B plus really until it gets over 34.50, right? So it's always, the overall trend is still bearish, and you could see that push. And you should, if you are long, you should be out there. I gave the warnings right here, back bearish, and that was a nice short actually. From 80 bucks all the way to 77, that was a $3 short. You could have made good money there. So I know the traders did that. So that's why I try to give the continuous updates on these stocks and trades. And you can see when 10:33 it was breaking that, I gave everybody that idea. All right, let's look at ANET. So ANET, guys, again, it was from the pre-market planning. ANET 250, 254 was support, 265 was resistance pivot, 254, 55 support held. You can see that, and it pushed. If you were trading in the morning, first 5 minutes, you got a good entry. That's good, because as soon as it turns over 512, you could get a good entry. But if you had to chase, then you have to watch this, right? So what I did was I had a starter on that push. I was late on ANET as well. I waited for the pullbacks. I did not like these bearish candles, but it did make a flag for our midday 34.50 bounce setup, right? You can see that flag setting up. So that's what made me interested, and I told everybody to use, you can see the price alerts, to have your support stops under this area. And if you added this pullback, that worked nicely. Repeatable setup, 34.50 bounce, flag break, midday 10:30. I covered it in my webinars, and you made some money from 261 back to 270. And even if you held later in the day, you were still profitable. So that was the ANET trade, but if you added here and panicked, you sold somewhere here, that's a problem, because the stops were really under the clouds. You cannot stop here, because it's going to pull back and bounce. That's why I said pullback. I told people you can add starter on the pullback. Initially I was trying to fail the 34.50, but then it held, right? It was failing this, but it never completely failed, and then it bounced back. Let's talk about DDOG. DDOG was similar setup. I tried to bounce it on for that 3450. You know, just like ANET, and I thought it might go push a little bit, and then it failed, and you know, I just got out. You know, when it was this failure happened right here, just take a loss and move on. Not really a perfect setup. You know, I want to see higher low, higher high candles. You know, when these losers are very small, they're not pretty big, but you can see the action. You clearly can see there's a no long trend. A long trend is like this, right? I can't even draw a trend line on DDOG today like this. The trend line was this. I always say, if you cannot draw a trend line, then there's no long or short. If it's a downtrend line, it's a short. If it's an uptrend line, it's long. So always try to draw a trend line on the whatever you are trading. Guys, let's look at BIIB. So let's look at BIIB, BIIB. BIIB had a news in the morning. Was not my personal trade. I missed it, so I let it go. But a lot of traders did good on BIIB. So BIIB was, guys, what was the news plan on BIIB? News plan on BIIB was simple. The support was 235, 232, resistance was 240, and bearish to neutral. And when BIIB was breaking that support, let's look at here, look at this, right? So BIIB, so whatever the pivots I gave everyone, that 235, 232, and you know, there's goes 232, and there goes 235s, right? So that's clearly a short. You take a short, stops over the candle, and then you can take a short here or here, stops over the candle, starter starts working, take first profits into 226, all day fade into 224. You can draw a downtrend line, and there it goes, right? You know, very easy morning idea winner there. Let's look at ZI. So ZI was a kind of a flat. My plan on ZI in the pre-market was simple. The plan on ZI was support was at 1840, resistance was at 1910, 20. I was trying to short it, but never really faded. You know, I tried a starter, 1770s, push to 17s, a little bit covers, and then when it started to hold up, I just got out, right? I don't want to see this action, and personally, I cannot trade these. These low range stocks, too low in ATR for my taste. But it was a flat trade, nothing special there. There was another one on the list, did not end up doing anything. It was Coca-Cola, bullish to neutral. If market heavy, then we are going to be cautious. The support was 59.40 and 59.80, and it was choppy basically, right? It did break down later end of the day, so it was basically a gap fill short. There was not even a gap. It was kind of a short, but it's very choppy action. Nothing to trade there. So nothing much in Coca-Cola. So there was this trade on DBGI, the low floater. The setup was 3450 bounce. This was the setup that we traded. It was, our traders were all day guiding on DBGI in the low float room. I didn't add the morning dips to 512s. That was good as well. We had it on our watch list, and the plan was that DBGI I will watch at open. So initially, our low float traders, William and everybody, were on top of it. They traded it from $6 all the way to $12. You can see all their guidance all day here, DBGI, and that was really nice. But what I traded on DBGI was this end of the day move, guys. If I can go to smaller time frame, but this gives me a level to trade $7 right here. It went to $10 was my target, but we hit 950. That was fine. You can see here DBG 3450 bounce. If DBGI hold 3450, can run later, and you can see I was talking about this at 12 p.m. The stock was at 683. Even if you added 1,000 shares and you risk, like, let's say you risk 80-90 cents, you risk $800. By end of the day, you made almost $2,300. So that was a good risk reward, right? So this is one of the setup that I'm going to discuss in the I'm going to do a low float webinar soon, that it's going to help out with all these setups, repeatable setups, nothing random. Going to try to teach more on these low floats as well, because when there is momentum, there's volume, there's move, there's good profits to be made in these low floats. All right, guys, thank you. That's it for today. I'll see you tomorrow, and keep eye on the VIX tomorrow. I'll keep eye out on my tweets.